welcome back to another heartwarming edition of the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart, to find out what gives them their magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and what's wrong with his eyes?
Alex Dandino.
It's a misquote, I know, but I love it. All right, before today's just endearing story about a new family forging their way in the world, a little bit of business, people. What are you doing? Get on over to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. You're here. You like the show. You know you want some mo. What's better than enough? Mo. That's what you want, mo. Film Alchemist Pod is on Patreon again. Patreon.com/Film Alchemist Pod. I got it that time. I did better the second time. Guys, for as little as $1 a month, you get in, you meet our friends, see the community we're building over there. They're lovely. As you climb the official Highlander tier ranking system, guys, you get a vote on the movies, exclusives every month, commentaries with awesome friends and guests coming out. We've got really cool little mini-series we're cooking up, all kinds of fun stuff that's over there. We know dollars are hard-earned, so we are working our aces off, our supple, ample aces off to earn those dollars. Again, that's patreon.com/Film Alchemist Pod. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to our channel over there to see video versions of most of our podcasts, as well as some of that fun content I've been previewing forever. It feels like forever. We're going to find the time. Again, that's Film Alchemist on YouTube. Email the show, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com, and find us on all the social platforms you're on. We're easy to get a hold of, and we love to hear from you. Make sure you leave us a rating and review wherever you find the show. It helps us defeat the algorithmic nosy neighbors that be trying to get up in our wombs and mess with our babes. We don't want that, so go on over and help.
Goddamn Castovitz.
Yeah, get out of here. Stop knocking on my door with your mooses. This is my womb we're talking about. All right. Up front, this is the finale for the Pod Has Bad Neighbors month. As most of you know, Alex and I are busy guys, but we keep an ambitious recording schedule. So this movie we're recording well in advance. To date it, from whenever you'll hear, the big news just dropped from the Supreme Court regarding Roe versus Wade, right?
A leaked opinion letter that would overturn Roe versus Wade.
My only hope is that by the time you've heard this, sanity has returned and all is well in the world.
That is
right?
literally my only hope right now.
Am I hopeful? Not really. I will say this. Having read that news and had to watch the sadness and the despair from so many people I love, and then turning on Rosemary's Baby was a fucking experience, right? Sometimes things are happening in the real world that change the way you watch a movie. With where we're at in the world, this movie, the thing I love most about Rosemary's Baby, and I adore this film, is the way it is so viscerally affecting every time I watch it, no matter how many times I've seen it, right? And this one, maybe today it was just a lot extra on no one taking Rosemary's voice into opinion, taking control of her body, touching her body, moving her around. Obviously, the horrendous scene in the middle. It's a movie that on its very core feels innocuous compared to a lot of horror films, right? There's not a lot of rubbing your face in the scariness, right? There's not blood and guts and that many monsters and things like that. But this movie has such an ever-looming sense of dread. And yeah, it's just beautifully acted, well-crafted, man. I was stunned by this movie yet again. Alex, your opening thoughts on Rosemary's Baby.
I mean, can I just copy everything you said? Like, it's all the same. It feels super, like, odd, like, yeah, unfortunately relevant right now. But beyond that, yeah, like, there's just something so... Everything about the movie is just dripping foreboding. Like, there's nothing about it that makes me feel like this will end well. oh, I'm sure Rosemary and Guy will figure this whole marriage and having a kid thing out. Like, there is something so sinister the entire time. And I think, and look, I do not condone Roman Polanski's behavior in any way, shape, or form. He's clearly a scumbag. This movie, though, is so uniquely directed. And especially for the time. This movie came out in, was it 67? I can't remember, 68? Yeah.
Shocking that he had the eye of a looming predator.
Yeah, who knew that he was going to end up being a diddler, but, you know.
Yeah. No, fuck that guy. I agree. I know a lot of people don't separate art from artists. We are firmly on the fuck Roman Polanski train.
But this is what makes Rosemary's Baby so unique, and especially not just for the time it came out, but just overall, is like the movie is so well assigned to Rosemary's point of view. We never know more than Rosemary the entire movie. And I think that's what makes the movie not just so foreboding, but also so good, because Mia Farrow is also doing this. She wasn't even supposed to be in this movie. Like, Mia Farrow's doing this incredible performance it's not even a nuanced thing. What it is like it's true terror the entire time. It's terror because she's lost the ability to have control over her body. Mm-hmm. She's lost the ability to have control over her life in general because so many other things are going on around her. I think that is what makes Mia Farrow so exceptional. Like, any other actress, I'm not sure this works correctly. Like, so Frank Sinatra and Mia Farrow were famously together. Mm-hmm. He literally was like, I don't want you to work when we're married. And she was like, I have to do this movie.
I think it might have been about this too, because he wanted her to. He was like, "Don't do that, dude." The Detective, the movie that he had out at the same time. That I
thought that too. Like, because I also thought there was another movie, but like there was another part that I was reading that he apparently demanded that she, like, the quote is, she demanded he forego that she forego her career once they wed, which is like insane. Crazy person. Like,
again,
don't do that.
Using what you know in real life, right? A shitty, narcissistic, artistic husband, taking advantage. I think what you said is really interesting, right? Because I do feel like the movie is this really horrifying blend on this viewing, right? I think we do know more than Rosemary, but not quite as much, right? I think we all know what happened. I think what I was really picking up on today is that I think she also knows. The thing that is fucking horrifying
she knows
watching her revert back to polite society, right? That all these moments of she knows something is bad. She has that intuition. She knows it is wrong. Right. A trusted old person, her husband, a doctor, a top of his field doctor. Someone is always telling her, you're being absurd, and watching her relent and then go back to that kind, smiling, good-hearted person. It's so hard to watch her just keep, even at the end of the film, right? But we've been through so much. We know exactly what's happening. Is the old people are like, we're off to travel the world, you know? And she's just like, oh, do come back. After she just found out they're fucking Satan, whatever. I think that is the thing that really I honed in on today was this movie, the fear of it is not possession and this and that. This is the same as the movie where you know something's wrong and no one will fucking listen to you.
Well, I mean, I think that's what makes Rosemary, that's what I mean by when I say, like, we don't know more than Rosemary, is because we are as informed as Rosemary because we're in the same, she's in the driver's seat. So we're just as suspicious as she is the entire movie. All we have to go on is Rosemary's instinct, not our own. Like, you know, you can deduce because the movie's called Rosemary's Baby and there's a creepy poster that probably something is not super on, you know, the level. But the point of the movie,
what if it was just like this happy baby and she's like, oh gosh, that was really scary. And they're like, we know, we are so sorry for how we behaved.
Right.
And just
Like, what if,
you know,
what if there's like, hey, listen, we found out the baby's okay. Like, it's all like that would be, what a movie. But I think that's what it is it's about living with the paranoia that Rosemary lives with the entire movie. Like, from the jump, like, the place is old and creepy, dude. Like, it is a fucking weird. It is a fucking weird building.
Apartment they look at screams Satan worshiper.
Come on,
pretty fast. No one has that many leather bound dishes except for people doing dark.
Way
arts,
too
right?
many leather bound a dish, for sure.
Yeah, you know what I was struck by this time too, watching, was trying to pinpoint the exact moment that this deal was signed. Because I was asking Amy, we were watching the first scene, and I was just like, did he already know? Did her husband, the actor, already know? Because he's an actor, you got to buy in. Because she thinks it happens. There's obviously the scene when he's like, oh, sorry, I've been a dick. It's like, yeah, no shit. And he's like, here's some roses. Let's make some baby. And you're like, wait, what? She thinks that's the like, oh, he's in on it now moment. Obviously he is. I was thinking, though, I was like, there's a way. Do you think these Satanists are just letting any old people come up and look at this fucking apartment? Do you think that the machinations of this are not already in? So this becomes this really fucking horrifying thought experiment of, at what point did someone with ties to this satanic coven or whatever, coven, go see American movie, the people in this coven decided, hey, there's an actor who will literally sell his wife to get a role, right? At what point does that occur? And at what point does he fucking know? Because there's the scene, right, where they're having the first dinner and he's talking shit on the Pope. They go in and wash the dishes. They come back and they're smoking. There's a look on Cassavetes' face right there. Right? It's like, I think the first lifeline has been thrown.
I'm going to say this. The real tragedy of this movie is that it doesn't take place in Los Angeles. And you're looking at these Satanists, you're like, you guys are wasting your time. Have you been to L.A.? You could literally walk like to Hollywood and Highland, stand on the corner and be like, listen, if you sell your soul, if you sell your firstborn to me to make him the Antichrist, you will be the world's greatest actor. There'll be a line down the block for
this
interviews.
Doesn't have to be so hard and sinister.
This doesn't
you don't
have
gotta
to be
throwing
difficult,
people
Satanists.
out windows. You don't have to be stealing mittens to do curses.
There is a filthy Iron Man costumed man out there right now, fully willing to just sell his soul. Like, they spend so much. That's because to your point, they just spend so much time. They must have spent so much time trying to find the right person, or did they literally like? Is it like, throwing a rock on Broadway to find a working actor? And you're like, that guy.
Here's the trick, though, right? Because I agree. Having lived in LA, you're like, most of us had that day where you're like, right now, I'd sell my soul. Do they need someone who doesn't want it, right? Does the baby, the evil growing inside, does it need to get its nourishment from destroying and feeding on her good nature?
My other thought was, because like, look, Guy Woodhouse seems like a pretty normal dude, like struggling actor, other than being John Cassavetes, there's really nothing substantial about Guy.
Other than that, this guy is the biggest sack of fecal in movie history. At one point, my notes just devolved to me just making a checklist of, this guy's the biggest fucking scumbag. Now, we talked about a lot of fucking
Was
movies.
it during the scene? Like, I'll tell you right now, I completely forgot that he cops to raping her.
Okay.
Like,
there's a lot of
jumping
bad
way
stuff.
ahead.
First off,
but like,
let's just get a couple of my off the top, right? The fact that at the end when he tells Rosemary at the very last scene of the movie, he goes, we're getting so much in return for this deal. I'm like,
we'll get to have
dude,
another one.
I was like, you made a deal to sell your wife to the devil, and you still have to audition and learn lines? Like, you don't just get the like satanic power to just be a charmer and just like get the gig? You're still worried you might not get other gigs.
You're still worried about, like,
how about this?
if you bring the Antichrist into the world, you should get to be Marlon Brando. Cut to the front of the line and live your best life.
You should get any role you want and walk in and be instantly amazing without having to line read, right? Or do the thing that has crutches, right? Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
What a simple bargain those Satanists must have made, though.
So not only does he say, let's have a baby on date night, and does his date night after being a piece of shit just so he knows that Satan needs to copulate, right? Then he drugs his wife. The scene where this motherfucker's just sitting there watching a Yankees game screaming at the TV, right? Maybe Mets, right? Some TV. From like 2 feet away, that's another red flag behavior. That's how babies watch TV. Neither here nor there. He tells Rosemary it's her fault. The scene, and this is a great fucking beautiful scene, right? The long shot of the hallway as we watch this man pick up. At one point she falls. He picks her up, walks her ass into that bedroom, right? Leading her to the fucking slaughterhouse. So not only is this guy a huge piece of shit who's drugged his wife, is stripping her down for the event to come, right? This was the line of the movie. I was so fucking mad I almost threw my phone. The next morning, Rosemary's asleep after what is probably one of the most traumatic moments that any human being could ever experience, right?
Right.
He goes, wake up, it's 9:10. I need breakfast. Smacks her on the ass. And she goes, and this is a woman who's just been sexually assaulted by the devil, slaps her ass, and she says, go eat out. And he goes, the hell I will. And jumps out of bed like, hey, get up and make me whatever.
You're telling me you don't have, with this deal you made with the devil, you don't have an extra coin in your pocket to go ahead and get yourself $1.50 eggs?
How about this? You made a deal with the devil. Why is there not just food every morning you wake up?
Food should just be there.
He's such a fucking dude. How about when she walks in with her haircut and she goes, it's Vidal Sassoon, and he goes, you paid for that? I was like, this motherfucker.
Shut your mouth. You do not have, you aren't the vessel, sir. You are the delivery. How
about this though? There's this heartbreaking line when she's talking to the therapist about how, he's an actor. It's part of his thing. He's narcissistic. He hasn't been with me. She says like 4 times in the movie, like, how about we just are honest with each other? The fucking line though, right after the sexual assault, right? And Rosemary just says to him when he's doing lines, she goes, you won't look at me anymore. Is just about soul crushing a line, and the earnest love in her voice, right? You can hear in her voice like, what did I do? Yeah. It is so fucking gut wrenching to watch. That is what Mia Farrow does so well in this movie, is that veneer of belief in good and honesty and that things will work out right, constantly being abused, as we all know it's being abused. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Is John Cassavetes' character in this movie top 2% of worst characters ever in a movie?
I would say it's not a percentage. It's top 5 worst characters in a movie.
You take this out, right? So take out your Hitlers and whoever, right? Like real life people that have done real life crimes. Take them out. Of just fictional characters, John Cassavetes' character in this movie has to be among the worst. At the end, Rosemary is weeping. She has seen the abomination she has borne in the fucking orgy-filled apartment of these fucking just squares, right? All that's happening, he goes, he's selling her his dream. We're going to go to the hills of Beverly, and I'm going to be on Miami wave grinders, whatever. It'll be great. Right? I swear to God, I won't cheat on you. Right? He's pitching her his fucking dream. We'll have even more kids because, the last time I said that, it went just well. It'll be great. I promise. I promise. And when she spits in his face, I've never been more happy.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
I stood up and clapped. I never clapped. I clapped in my house. I was like, finally.
Well, like, I don't even care if the people who made this film aren't here to appreciate it. I'm clapping for me. Just a piece of shit.
This is something that I thought about. I've never thought of it this way because, quite frankly, I am a guy and don't think about anything outside myself. I thought this time, is it possible that it's not about the deal that Guy makes with the Satanists. Is it possible? Because to your point, we were trying to figure out, like, why is Guy this struggling actor again? Like, there's 1,000,001 of them in the city. Like, actually, I gotta say, one of my dear friends has been grinding it out and on Broadway for the last like decade since we got out of college. He just made his Broadway debut, Alex Puett in Hadestown, but he's grinded it out the whole time. My question is though, he's been a jobbing actor for like majority of his life. Is it not about the deal that Guy made? Is it Rosemary who's the exception?
Oh, for sure. Because I'm
She
telling
is special,
you,
correct?
when I first got out of film school and you get to LA and you're like, this sucks. Like,
Yeah.
I thought I'd be like, working on actual movies, like good movies, right? And I'd be getting fair wages and, you thought it would be this thing. And you're like, God damn, this is going to be
people cared about people out here.
This is going to be like a Thunderdome knockdown, drag out fight. Right. In that moment, at 25 with no wife, no kids, just going to bars to try to numb the pain, I 1,000% would have sold my soul if I knew that was an option.
Absolutely.
So the trick is not selling your soul, right? He's not even, and this is the extra insidious layer that I never really thought about. He's not even selling Rosemary's soul. He's renting her fucking body. If he takes Rosemary's soul, right, that animating force, that divine spark, right?
Right.
Well, then she's numb to what's happening, right? Then she does just become this automaton, right? This emotionless, husk of a person, right?
Right.
He takes her out of the vessel by leaving her soul intact and just trading her flesh, her body. Right. It's so much more insidious.
It's terrifying. It's terrible.
He's in the room and fucking watches.
It's a complete loss of self. And that is like that's the really scary thing. Like that, the sexual assault sequence is always so, I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, this feels so out of place for this movie. Like, I don't fully understand why it's in here. Watching it, because I've watched this movie a few times over the years. Watching it today as an older than I was the first time I saw it, I realize the jarring nature of it is meant to be this. You're not like, it is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. Like, why is this in this movie? This is so weird and sort of out of place because everything else feels so resolute and real that this surrealist experience goes to like the point I was making earlier, which is that like Rosemary knows something happened, but we know about as much as Rosemary does. Like, we all know something went down. We just don't know what it was or why it was that. Like, what's the deal? So I think that to me is what is unique about Rosemary's Baby, is that they can throw something that really is in any other movie of its like that would be like this, it would feel so disjointed, like you kind of like derail the story itself. This is so disjointed and disorienting. It resets us in this movie to the point where we're like, something fucking terrible just happened and we all have to like now figure it out with Rosemary. Like, we know something's wrong and now we have to really figure it out.
This is not the Immaculate Conception. This is not poof, pregnant.
No.
This is gross and violating and destructive, right? What we see is a husband leading his wife into the mall, right? We see him take the wedding ring off like a fucking piece of shit, right? We see the claws run down her body. We see the eyes, right? There's this fucking... This is a horrifying experience anyways. The moment, there is this, I mean, it is fucking hard to watch this moment where she's talking to the Pope about, being Catholic, lapse face, whatever the fuck they're talking about. You don't even really pay attention. He's just like, it's all good. It's all good. There is just this like shadowy face and hand just like pressing her face, and she's being bounced and jostled.
Right.
As she's trying to talk to the Pope. And it's one of those images, it it was like a searing stamp, right? Like you're getting branded. Just how the power of that image to repulse you. And again, I think this is still a shocking scene, right? It is one of the trickiest wickets in all of movies, is how do you relay the trauma and pain of this event without being exploitative?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. This scene is just
it's brutal.
Word. When she
brutal,
does
especially now.
This is no dream. This is really happening. The eye, like Mia Farrow does this like 4 times in movies where her eyes look like they're going to explode
she has
out
like
of her head.
deeply like that's like always her secret weapon, which I think is really good because she doesn't use it like she doesn't like. But this movie, when she does it, it's actually it's actual fear. It's very fascinating.
Well, it's again we watch Rosemary constantly putting on this false front, right, of kindness. When her eyes explode like that, those are the few moments in the film where she's just seeing it exactly as it is. And she's not masking her reaction to the horrifying events before her.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that scene is fucking brutal and scary and horrifying. But again, I think the things to me where Rosemary's Baby really excels is, again, like you said, the next morning, where the husband smacks her ass to go start breakfast, and then she has actual claw marks on her.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, sorry, I got a little out of control last night." And she goes, You copulated with me? She didn't say copulate, whatever. Like, you fucked me?
He was like,
and he goes,
baby night. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, he's like, well, I didn't know what to miss. He's like, also, I was loaded too. And I was like, what the fuck?
Dude.
What the fuck?
It's like the worst frat guy argument ever.
That moment, because they do this shot where you kind of just hold on the opposite side of the bed, and Rosemary's kind of like shrinking into herself, right? Feeling violated. And he reaches to touch her, and she recoils. And we don't see her face, and we don't have to, because she becomes this avatar for the faceless masses who have suffered this. In those moments where, like a Scooby-Doo cartoon, you find out there is no atomic submarine guy killing, fucking coral reef land.
Right.
It's someone you know and who is close to you. That's who did it. In every cut in this movie are these people who are supposed to be helping her. And especially her fucking husband, because her friends do try to help.
Yeah.
But they're constantly getting fucking blocked out by these fucking Satanists. And even, this is the other extra sad part, when someone tries to help her, they suffer a horrible fate. Like Hutch.
Like Hutch?
He died trying to help.
Hutch died trying to help. Briefly regains kind of like puts her on the hunt. But yeah, Hutch is the one.
Had she not been friendly with him at the door and answered and let him in, Hutch wouldn't have died. So these are other things Rosemary has to carry along with this fucking Antichrist fetus.
I'll tell you the saddest part about this movie. Charles Grodin couldn't save the day. That's the real sad part.
Charles Grodin looked like everyone's worst nightmare. We were like, this is what insurance got me. You walk in and see that guy. It's like, oh, tucked in golf shirt guy. Great.
Real tiny mustache. Yeah.
You could see the cock that Charles Grodin would become amazing at playing, like festering in this one. It's a small role. It did make me really happy to see Charles Grodin.
It's always nice to see. It's always nice to see Charles Grodin. I would actually posit that,
dude, he has one of my favorite moments in the movie, though. Sorry for clapping, like I was fucking losing my mind. When she goes in and there's this fucking unbearable moment where Rosemary's spilling it out, and they're Satanists, and they tried to do this, and I knew it. He came home with his makeup on. He never does that. She's spilling it out, and you're like, oh my god, she went to this other doctor and is just telling him all this shit, and we know it's true, but you're like, don't say it out loud. You're gonna be in a straitjacket next scene, and I won't be able to bear it. Again, the scariest thing to me in movies as I age is someone telling the absolute truth and then everyone not listening and punishing them for it.
Right.
But he actually says, okay. He accepts what she says. And there is this beautiful moment on Rosemary's face, the fucking absolute relief.
The
like she's been
joy-
dipped in a hot sauna, like a natural spring.
The joy on her face when he was like, "There's a lot of creeps out there." Like, you're like, "Oh, thank God." Like, we're all like, "Oh, Charles Grodin's going to save the day."
She
I knew he had it.
lays down and says, "God bless Dr. Hill." Dreams about her beautiful kids surrounded by her lovely family. Wakes up to this harsh, blinding light as Dr. Fucking Dingleberry and her
Dr.
husband come in.
Saperstein.
Yeah. Dr. Sap my will to live. Good Lord. Fuck that guy. And they just come in and he just won't even acknowledge. And then again, this movie is just layered on layered, right? So Rosemary's face just falls into this, of course, right? Of course no one will help me, right? It's my body. The way Saperstein just grabs her by the arm and walks her out.
Dude, the perp walk he does.
Yeah, I was just like,
if I was Grodin, I'd be like, hang on.
He's just like, sorry, I'm just glad I could help, Dr. Saperstein, and just doesn't even look at her. Rosemary doesn't get a yell at him. She doesn't even scream for help. The absolute defeat in that moment, realizing no one will help her except for her. That's the shit this movie does so well. Yeah. Is Mia Farrow's continual spring of hope just being dashed by someone who could easily make this better.
And then they fucking sedate, like, the birth through, like, the whole, like, thing of, like, sedating her and, like, giving birth, like, up to when she wakes up and asks where the baby is. It's interesting because, like, the first time you watch, I mean, okay, look, if you know how the movie ends, like, obviously it's not a surprise, but, like, think about, like, the first time you would watch something like that and be like, oh, wow, like, this really is just this woman's paranoid delusions. Like, that's what this is about, is this woman who's just suspicious because she's suspicious. Like, she doesn't understand people. She doesn't understand.
Her body's going through a lot.
Her body's going through a lot of change. She doesn't understand, like, congenial, nice neighbors. And you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's so, like, that's the part where you're like, holy shit, that's so sad. Like, now it's not that it's the Antichrist. It's like,
what the fuck? When the Satanists come in, they're like, nope, sorry, baby died. I was like, has she not been through enough? Give her the fucking chance to be the mother
of fucking hug.
Satan.
Jesus Christ.
That, to me, is one of those things. I feel like I forget that beat every time, right?
That's
she
the part
wakes
I'm
up
always
and for like 5 to 10 minutes, she's just like watching TV. She's watching TV and hears a baby cry. And she goes, is that a baby? And the old lady's like, no, have a pill. It is relentlessly soul-crushing.
It's horrifying.
And again, maybe it's just because I'm in the headspace of, we are now in the year 2022 in this exact same moment where these fucking shadowy fucking figures are just turning a lot of our sisters and wives and daughters into Rosemary's.
Yeah.
That it just extra offended me today.
Yeah, I found everybody so deeply offensive who, like, doesn't, it's not even like believing Rosemary, because they all know what the deal is. Like, what it is not marking her or, like, dismissing her. Like, we'll talk about it when we get to the scene, but, like, there is a moment, like, the last bit of the movie today, I was just like, I always hated that beat. Not that I hated, like, it from a movie, but I always hated that woman in the beat. And today was no exception. Like, today was even worse because of what's going on in the world right now.
Well, I think this movie just really cuts through the bullshit, right? It's like so much things in our life, right? Everything is politics and political theater. You take your side and you fight as hard as you can for that side, right? I want to be right. Like, our team's right. We know the right shit. Just peel all that bullshit away, right? Peel away the talking points that you hear on podcasts, whatever. Just watch this fucking movie and watch the way that Rosemary gets dragged and pulled and touched and people foisting medicines upon her, people tricking her into taking substances
people
that are
taking
harming
ownership
her body.
over her body when it's not
Just
theirs.
watch that scene when her friend's like, pregnant women don't lose weight, they gain it. And we're sitting there like they forced this fucking thing inside of her and it's eating her alive. And knowing that everything is hurting her and lying to her. Just watch this movie as a thought experiment of, what do you think it would be like to live for even a week with that little control over yourself and your body and your person? And then just imagine extrapolating that fear out for a lifetime. Especially in a moment that is supposed to be this moment of the scene. Again, this fucking beautiful Mia Farrow scene, man. It's actually making me tear up again. But the scene when she gets the call that she's pregnant, she puts the phone down and does the ee, and she's so fucking happy. And then to just watch the rest of the movie as this fucking assault on her as a human being. I just don't know how you can watch that and not be moved and horrified, and it's grotesque, man. So yeah, peel all that other stuff away and just do the thought experiment of how would you like to live for 10 months as Rosemary? And I think most people with a brain would say that would be fucking awful.
Yeah.
It would be awful, man.
Unfortunately, most people who are involved in government don't have brains. That's the only political thing I'm going to say about this, other than fuck this.
I just think we've lost sight so much because everything is so convoluted and everything feels like making deals with devils, right? Everything politics is
everything.
Your side and you got to defend all or nothing. It's just fucking terrible, right?
It's okay
that
you
but
don't have to
peel it all out, right? Take all of that shit out. Just think about an actual human being and how these fucking things affect them. I feel like this is a movie that should be shown to every child who is about to become a teenager and have access to cars and take people on dates. And just, I think if more of us could put ourselves in that empathetic space of how fucking horrifying it is to not have control of your body, that a lot of this would fucking change, man. And it is in a movie that has the devil and murder, like even the scene where the lady's found on the sidewalk is fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I cannot stomach when I watch the movie. This is what makes my skin crawl. God, just go back and watch the movie. All the frames of people just putting their fucking hands on her.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is okay. So we all know it's the famous scene. The ending is very like what have you done to his eyes? That kind of shit.
Yeah.
This is the part that always, and today was visceral. Like I was like actually angry about it. Was because look, like when you have a kid, like we just started taking our kid to preschool, and like there is that like odd fear of, oh, my kid is in school now. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like
your kid is out of your sight and protection.
4 hours out of the day, he's not under my supervision, and like you trust other people inherently to watch your child.
Mm-hmm.
When I never remember the lady's name. But the older woman who is rocking the baby, who's
Luann, Lunita, whatever, the old glasses lady.
Yeah, the old glasses lady, when she's rocking the baby too fast. Like this is the part that is all, because it's supposed to like unnerve you in this way that's like so instinctual. But like to me today, like I'm always mad at her. But today I was like, that fucking lady. This is like, that's the ultimate. That's like, instead of it being this weird thing of like, oh, Rosemary's accepting of the fact that she's the mother of this child who happens to be the Antichrist. That's not even what it is. Like today for me, it was like, this is the modicum of control she has. Like she is the one who can soothe this child. You cannot, because you're just some fucking old bitch who has no idea what they're doing and rocking this child, shaking it until it, who knows? You are not you are not looking out for the well-being of this child because you don't understand what you're doing.
Well, how about when she is finally admonished and they're like, go?
Yeah.
She walks past Rosemary and puts her tongue out.
Gets that fucking tongue out. I'm like, Rosemary, snap that shit out of her mouth.
This whole final scene, fucking just a whirlpool of emotions going on in me. Right?
Yeah.
So not only Rosemary is just so crafty in this movie too, the Scrabble anagram and trying to fucking make it work. She gets the knife. She goes in the apartment. The thing that really just kind of slaps you in the face looking at it this time, Rosemary is coming into this room. She's been wronged by all of these people.
Yes.
She knows they're fucking lying baby thieves, right? And Satanists, and that whatever happened, happened. The bassinet is this giant fucking Hot Topic art piece, so it's giving off bad vibes, right?
Right.
She comes in with that knife, and a couple people raise their voice. No one rushes to disarm her.
No.
They have taken so fucking much from her. And it's one of two things. Either it doesn't matter because they'll just get another Rosemary and try again. Or they have taken so fucking much from her that they just make the gamble that she's not willing to take the very last thing from herself, no matter how horrifying what's in that bassinet is. And so watching Rosemary recoil in horror at this, what have you done with his eyes? No, dear God.
See, I always taken that moment of why they don't bum rush her as this. It has more to do with it's like they all know that she's gonna see the eyes, like they like it's like they almost anticipate that reaction in some way. The other side of that also is they're all old and know they can't take her because she has a knife. That is the other. There's
like
part of
10 of them. They all had no problem jumping her ass on the bed when she was pregnant and wrestling around. True. So there's something so fucking demeaning about that moment that she does not, even with a weapon, they give her no fucking agency.
Yeah.
In the moment. And yeah, when she's so fucking horrified and they're, Hail Satan. And then you hear the old lady, Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
And her fucking garden party voice is like shivers. Hail Adrian, right? You just watch this woman just sink into this unreality. And you watch her doing the math of how everything she's lost and what's been taken from her. And when you watch her walk to that bassinet and she just goes, you're rocking him too fast. And she even tells the old bastard, she's like, you're trying to make me be his mother. He goes, aren't you his mother? And you can just fucking see in her face that she has relented. The final, very last bit of choice and freedom removed. As if it's just this foregone conclusion that she didn't have control over. Or maybe she did. I don't know what you make of that. Did Rosemary have agency in that? Was this just something that was going to happen? Or did she make the choice? You're not taking anything else from me.
I think at the end she makes the choice that, like, you've taken everything else. You're not taking this. Like, if anybody's going to be this child's mother, it's me.
The wish fulfillment element for me is that I'll raise this kid to be like 10. He'll start getting them powers.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a fucking Satanist barbecue because, you work for us.
Right.
That is the dream scenario for the
you always hope,
the sequel of this movie, which we did not know exist, and we will be watching on YouTube. Maybe we'll throw it on for everyone to watch with us. We watched a couple minutes. It looks rough. It's
look what happened to Rosemary's Baby. What a title.
Even this, when Rosemary drops the knife, Ruth Gordon runs over and picks the knife up and tries to remove the fucking knife hole from the floor.
Yeah.
And then just tosses a tea at her. Here, drink this. It'll calm you down. Did you put anything in it? She's like, no, it's just tea. Now she doesn't even do the neighborly voice.
Right.
Now she just fucking, you're nothing. Right?
Well, you
Rosemary
know what,
watching people walk over to the bassinet, that fucking tall, slick-haired guy.
The other thing, too, that I thought about this time was there is this level of jealousy amongst all these old ladies who are just like, oh, I can't carry the child of Satan. I'm not good. And I was like, no, you are not.
Again, because you want it. You can't
Yeah.
be the carrier
want
of
it.
the
You can't be the
Antichrist
carrier.
if you're begging
You
for it.
have to nurture. And that's what makes Rosemary special is she ends the movie knowing she has to nurture this child. Whatever way that means.
Well, the original sin of a husband just throwing her to the fucking devil is the spark, right? That might as well be the sperm hitting the egg, is that sin, right? That I am so willing to get something I want that I will betray this person who I've made an oath to. I think that stuff just really leapt out today, right?
Definitely.
There's so many things in this movie that I find abhorrent, right? Like just the way the neighbors just fucking rush into her apartment constantly.
Too much.
I mean, it's hard, man. Like one of the hardest scenes, right? They have a party where she's like, I just want young people, right? Only young people invited. And the husband's kind of being a cock, right? The girls get her in the kitchen and they're like, we're going to fucking figure this out. Lock him out. And he starts going in on her friends. He's like, those bitches, blah, blah, blah. Just talking mad shit. And Rosemary's standing up for herself. She's like, this is fucking wrong. I know. This is my body. I can feel it. This is fucking wrong.
Right.
And it's a little thing that I never quite put any stock in before. But in that very moment, for the first time since she was impregnated, her pain stops.
Right. Yeah.
And that one little thing leads to a montage of her back to happy, docile Rosemary, drinking the drinks, having the friends, the olds over, whatever. And it's such what I never really thought about before in that moment. So was that just the devil like, fuck, the jig's almost up. Stop making it hurt.
Oh, no. I never thought about that. No.
Why did it stop in that exact fucking moment?
To me, it's always been Rosemary. Rosemary finally takes this active role and saying, like, I'm not drinking that fucking tea anymore. I'm not doing any of these things. Like, her taking that on herself is that is the relief. That is
so by standing up for herself, she stops the pain and then is doomed.
Absolutely.
That could be. See, I took it as the devil stopping it for a beat. And he's like, all right, we milked enough of her, willingness.
Well,
and then
I
it's
think
like, fuck, it didn't have to hurt that fucking bad. He did that.
That's what it is. Like, they've taken everything they can to that point. So why wouldn't she then go, oh.
Hey,
I don't know.
possibly. To your point, though, the movie is constantly reminding us that it's not the devil who set all this up. The devil didn't get her to go below deck.
This is all guy.
So the fact that her trying to be decent to herself leads to the pain, I feel like is more in line with the movie, man. It's just, I don't know. I'm just so constantly, every time I watch it, I'm just so re-enamored with it.
Yeah.
It does so many things so exceptionally well. It is such an iconic, horrifying movie. Elevator pitch, image. We all know the big beats, right? This movie's over 2 hours long. This movie does not have a lot of gotchas. It's not scares. It's not particularly thrilling.
No, this is about dread,
right?
Man. This is about constant and eternal dread.
If they did this now, it'd be called slow burn, right?
Yes.
Which is kind of one of those like critics speak, like we want to say we hate this movie, but we don't want to say that out loud. And I'm just enamored by how much this movie fucking gets under my skin, right? Digs the fucking claws in. And I cannot stop thinking about this movie for days every time I watch it.
I think now I'll be thinking about this for the next few days, particularly because of what's going on in the world.
I think that's something that the best horror stories do, right? Is they touch on this universal fear. And then the really great ones find a way to bring it to such a human level, right? This is fear of nature, fear of self, both. But Mia Farrow becomes such an absolutely perfect empathy vessel that you just can't help but go on this just fucking roller coaster ride. So while a movie might be kind of slow burn and take its time, to me, I feel like I'm falling down the biggest hill on a roller coaster, and I hate it. It makes me feel uncomfortable in my own skin, which I think is the fucking point of the movie. Guys, that's it for Rosemary's Baby. It'll never all the way be it, man. This is one of those movies I can honestly say I'll be watching till the day I die. Just one of the all-time great movies.
That's
Sorry.
also it for Shitty Neighbors.
Yeah. Sorry if that got a little intense at times, but hey, man, sometimes life changes the way you look at art, right? That's it for Bad Neighbors Month. This was a fucking wonderful journey. We have not yet decided all the way on our June lineup. It is the birthday month of one of the great human beings who's ever lived. Definitely a great neighbor you would let in to bring you smoothies. Myself. So I'm guessing it's going to be Alex giving me just a cinematic gift. Just a month-long celebration of me.
Just made me so uncomfortable the way you phrased that.
I don't know. Do we do
referred to
all
yourself
the...
in the third person like The Rock, so, you know.
Well, I said me. I didn't say... Anywho, I know you, like the neighbors and Rosemary's Baby, should bring me gifts, just not duplicitous ones, good ones. Maybe we do all the Planet of the Apes. Maybe we do all the aliens. Maybe we do all the Highlanders. I don't know, Alex. The world is my oyster.
Well, that's the point of presents. They're surprises. We'll see.
Or we just don't do that at all. Who knows, guys? You will know as soon as we know. So, guys, again, go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod so you can make sure to be finding more awesome episodes and commentaries, mini series, all kinds of fucking awesome shit we're doing over there. And you get to have your voice heard in the movies we discuss over there. So, guys, we thank you so much for the support, those of you who already do. Thank you for those of you who are about to. The YouTube is Film Alchemist. The email is filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials you're on. We're easy to get a hold of. Reach on out. Talk to us. We like it. We likes it.
Fun.
Also, guys, easy thing you can do to help DIY podcasts like us, man. We do all the work. We're fighting an uphill battle. Just leave rating and reviews wherever you find it, man. 5-star, couple sentences. It seems so annoying that every podcast asks you. But for pods like us, it really does mean the world. So thank you for you guys listening and all the great stuff you do for us. We will be back to celebrate me in whatever form that chooses, right? Like Ghostbusters, choose your destroyer, Alex. As you acknowledge me like a pro wrestler.
You will be acknowledged.
I'm Josh Griffey.
Bye.